Hello everyone, today we are breaking down Season 2, Episode 2, Kaer Morhen of The Witcher. Remember to like the video, it helps out the channel a lot, and subscribe, and yada yada yada, let's get to it. The first thing we see is Yennefer, and she is having a dream or a vision. The dream is everything she really wants. She is with Geralt, she is pregnant, and they are starting a family. A normal life. The dream then becomes a nightmare, and a person in a red robe seems to have her child. She awakes from the dream still chained up, but instead of being Nilfgaard's prisoner, she is now a prisoner of the elves. And Fringilla is in the same boat. Fringilla also seems to be having a nightmare as well. This whole thing gets explained later on in the episode. The doors of the carriage open up and Filavandrel is there. If you remember in Season 1, he was the elf that had Geralt and Jaskier tied up. He was the king of the elves back then. We see they bring Yennefer and Fringilla to some elven ruins. Yennefer remarks it looks kind of like Aretuza. Aretuza is the school Yennefer and Fringilla attended to become sorceresses. I believe Istrid said last season that it was built by elves as well. That's why they share similar features, but I can't find any info on the wiki to support that, but I'm pretty sure I'm right. We get our first glimpse of Francesca. She is considered to be the most beautiful woman in the world, at least in the books she was. Yennefer and Fringilla do not know who this is in the show. In the books, she was part of the Brotherhood of Sorcerers, which is a group of mages who sets the rules and regulations for magic in the Northern Kingdoms. She also fought at Sodden Hill against the Nilfgaard army, so with Yennefer, so for the show they changed her character a bit. Francesca is not happy with Filavandrel. She doesn't understand why he brought these two here. She said he should have just strung them up. Yennefer mentions how she is part elf, trying to get out of this situation. Her father was half elf, making her a quarter elf. Francesca tells her she is no elf. She hasn't sung their songs to honor our elders or shed tears for elves. The reason the elves are together in somewhat of a war party is that they want to fight back. The continent they are on was theirs. They were there about 2,500 years before humans. Once humans got there, they kind of took over, so they want to take it back or die trying. If you remember last season, they weren't living the grandest of lives. They were struggling to survive. We then find out that Filavandrel does not lead the elves anymore, that Francesca is the new leader. She also mentions how she had someone in a white robe visit her in her dreams, so kind of similar to Yennefer's dream. In the next scene, we see Ciri and Geralt nearing Kaer Morhen. Kaer Morhen is the Witcher school, also known as the School of the Wolf. Witchers were made and trained here. It hasn't been an actual school for a very long time. It was attacked by fanatics, killing many of the teachers there, so the secrets to mutate would-be Witchers has been lost. You can still see that the keep is in ruin. The sacking of Kaer Morhen was the main focus of the animated prequel that was released earlier this year, and they do talk about events from it in the episode. Kaer Morhen, as of now, is a place Witchers use to rest for the winter, repair armor, and fill up on potions. There are other Witcher schools in the books, but they haven't mentioned them yet in the show, so they might not exist in the show's universe. Geralt and Ciri enter the Great Hall, where they are met by Lambert and Cohen. From the animated prequel, we learned that Geralt and them grew up together and they were trained together here at Kaer Morhen, so in a lot of ways they are like brothers. There are other Witchers here as well, though I do not know their names. In the books, Cohen, Lambert, Eskel, and Vesemir are the only Witchers staying here with Geralt and Ciri. In the background, we see the memorial tree, where when a Witcher falls, their medallion gets placed on it. We learned that during the animated prequel. Vesemir is also in the Great Hall and greets Geralt. Vesemir is like a father figure to Geralt, Lambert, Cohen, and Eskel. He trained them when they first got here. Interesting note that Geralt is the only one with yellow eyes out of the Witchers. In the books, they all have yellow eyes and they're more cat-like. It could be since Geralt went through more mutations than most Witchers did, that's why his hair is silver as well. But in the prequel, Vesemir's eyes were yellow, so maybe they ran out of budget? Who knows? Eskel returns to Kaer Morhen shortly after Geralt and Ciri. Eskel, at least in the books, is the closest to Geralt friendship-wise. Eskel was late because he was hunting a Leshen or Leshy. Leshens are very ancient creatures. They use inborn magic to control the plants and animals within their territory. The reason why Vesemir perks up when hearing this is because in the animated prequel he fights a Leshen, but it was slightly different. It was mutated. Eskel is saying the same thing. The Leshy was different somehow. Eskel mentions how he was stabbed by it and it seems to be bothering him. Vesemir states the only way to kill a Leshen is fire through the heart, which will come up later. In the next shot, we see Geralt sharpening his skills, practicing his swordplay. Vesemir wants to discuss Ciri, why Geralt brought her here. Geralt said it is the best place to protect her. We also find out Ciri is keeping some things from Geralt, like how she escaped Sintra. If you remember, Sintra was destroyed, the people slaughtered. How did a little girl escape from that? We know that Kaer carried her out of there. They don't, though. Geralt wants to find out who she is, what she is, and how he can help her. He knows Ciri has some kind of magical ability. How else would she know Yennefer's name? Vesemir says, remember the last time Witchers shoved their noses into the dramas of courts and kingdoms. This is referring to the prequel. The attack on Kaer Morhen is because of this. Eskel and Ciri have a small conversation. Eskel is kind of a jerk in this compared to the books. I don't know if that's because of his injury, but in the books he's pretty nice to Ciri. You see she still has her robe with the Lion of Sintra on it. It's the cloak she wore all of last season. We return to Fringilla and Yennefer still chained up. Fringilla mentions how Tissaia said all Elven mages were dead, just driving the point home no one seems to know who Francesca is. We then find out Fringilla is having a dream about somebody in a black robe. So 3 people who can control chaos, magic, in this area are being visited by someone in a robe. Francesca confirms, saying since they entered these woods, she has been having these visions. Francesca believes the person in her dream in the white robe is Ithlinne, a sacred prophet to elves. Her most famous prophecy is about the end of the world, so Francesca believes that Ithlinne is trying to guide her to get her people to a safe haven. So it seems like whatever the greatest desire is of the person, Yennefer wanting a child or Francesca wanting to save her people, that is what is appearing in the dreams. Filavandrel comes over to Yen and Fringilla. Yennefer recognizes his name from a bard's tale of him being the king of the elves. This could be one of Jaskir's songs. Then we find out why he lost his command. That he tried to lead an uprising against Sintra before it was destroyed, obviously, and Queen Calanthe quickly stopped him and then ordered a massacre of the Elven populace for the uprising. Fringilla brings up how she and Yennefer have also been having visions of robed figures. Filavandrel is almost about to work with them, but they find something in the ruins and he leaves them there. We return to Geralt and Ciri. Geralt is dissecting the arm of the Leshen. Leshens cannot reproduce, so they are a dying breed. Geralt says any that are around are from the Conjunction. The Conjunction is when a bunch of things like monsters, humans, dwarves, vampires, all got stuck in the world they are in right now. So it was like a multiverse and all these different creatures came to this world not being able to return to their world. Ciri wants to be trained so she can kill the person in the black winged helmet, which is Kaer, which is the person who took her out of Sintra. The nightmares she is having are about him. She fears him. She wants to be able to defend herself if they ever meet again. Geralt, in a way, tells her no, that they don't kill because they are scared of something, they kill to save people, which is a good motto. There's a loud commotion upstairs, like there is a party. Geralt goes to check it out and tells Ciri to stay behind. And indeed, there is a party with some ladies of the night. This does not happen in the books. Kaer Morhen is a very hard place to get to. Like, it's not an easy journey. Maybe in the show they put it closer to a town. In the prequel, it was relatively close to Cadwyn, but... Geralt asks Vesemir what this is about. He says Eskel found them down the mountain. Geralt is not happy they are here. It may be because Ciri is here and he doesn't want her to think that this is a normal thing for him and the boys. Ciri decides to spy on the festivities. She finds it quite funny seeing all the Witchers quite drunk. We see Eskel with a lady and she almost touches his wound from being stung by the Leshen. He quickly jumps up though. Clearly the wound is still bothering him a lot. Geralt confronts Eskel about this whole situation. Eskel then goes into how if he found a princess, the last thing he would do is play knight. Maybe Eskel means he would ransom her, or maybe something much, much worse. As I said in the books, Eskel's really nice to Ciri. This is a very different Eskel. Eskel tries throwing a punch at Geralt. He's able to dodge it quite easy. Once again, just really different from book Eskel. Vesemir catches Ciri spying and she runs off. We return to Yennefer and Fringilla. They are brought into the Elven ruins. The 3 talk about the dreams they are having about the robed figures. We find out the person in Fringilla's dream is Emhyr, who is the Emperor of Nilfgaard, and that he just saved her by killing the usurper. So as I said, things they all kind of want, but Fringilla's dream has already happened, so it's a little confusing. There seems to be an altar in the room with 3 skulls, so maybe they need 3 for this to work. The idol is for the Mother of Forests, the Deathless Mother, nesting in dreams. This is not in the books to my knowledge, but this is clearly what is causing the dreams. Nothing magical is said and the idol moves backwards, revealing stairs. The 3 mages head down. We return to Kaer Morhen and Ciri is exploring. She is currently in the armory and we see a little Easter egg from the game. I believe that is Geralt's sword from The Witcher 3, so that's awesome. I love that. Vesemir finds her down here. He goes over some of the artifacts that are down there. He says that this was Clef. He was one of the first Witchers. I'm sure Clef will be in Blood Origin, a prequel about the creation of Witchers. This is kind of setting it up in a way. Vesemir then says that a demon killed him with the dagger in front of Ciri, so once again I would bet money about this being in a prequel. Vesemir says that the Witchers bounded the demon to a forest, and that the demon still calls to people who are in her woods and devours them. Sounds pretty familiar to what Yennefer and the other 2 mages are going through right now. Vesemir goes on and says this armor belonged to Deglin. He was in the animated prequel. He pretty much led the Witchers. He was like a father figure to Vesemir. Deglin died in the hall above during the attack by the Fanatics. Vesemir then asks Ciri how she escaped Cintra. She dodges the question and said Geralt said I would be protected here. Vesemir counters with it's hard to do if I don't know who I'm protecting or from what. So Vesemir just wants to know her story. What happened? But you have to remember it was a very traumatizing thing for her. She doesn't want to bring it up. We see that Eskel and the Lady of the Night are about to sex it up. She takes off his shirt and we see that the sting from the Leshen has infected Eskel. He is turning into a Leshen. So the Leshen was mutated and it looks like it has found a way to reproduce by infecting a being with a sting. Kitsu, who was from the animated prequel, could be behind this. She was an elf mutated by the Witchers, and then she started mutating other creatures as well. I'll be curious to see if she is behind this. I haven't watched ahead, so I don't know yet. We return to Yennefer, Francesca, and Fringilla in a spooky dark woods underneath the Elven ruins. We see a hut in the woods. Francesca says the incantation from the ruins above. The hut stands up and a blinding light occurs when it turns around. So this is inspired by a Slavic folklore called Baba Yaga, which is a supernatural being or a trio of sisters of the same name, who appears as a deformed or ferocious-looking old woman. In Slavic culture, Baba Yaga lived in a hut usually described as standing on chicken legs. Thanks to this user for telling me this in a trailer breakdown I did, so thank you because I literally had no idea. We return to Kaer Morhen and Geralt is looking for Ciri. Vesemir tells him she was spying. They had a little chat and then he sent her off to bed. Vesemir asks Geralt if he was ready for this responsibility. Geralt asks, were you when you took care of us after the attack on Kaer Morhen? Which you see in the animated prequel. Vesemir says no. Geralt then says, but you still protected us anyways. Vesemir replied, no, I taught you how to fend for yourselves, kind of giving Geralt the idea to train Ciri. All the Witcher medallions start to vibrate. Witcher medallions not only signify what school you went to, Geralt has a wolf on his because he is from the school of the wolf. They also vibrate when magic is near. They are not sure what is attacking them, but they secure the girls in Ciri's room, which Lambert is standing guard. Geralt goes on the hunt for whatever it is. We return to Yennefer, and she and the other 2 are having visions with the person they saw in their dream. They are all separate as well. They are also in the hut they saw. Francesca sees Ithlinne, Fringilla sees Amir, and Yennefer sees what her daughter would look like if she and Geralt could have a child. Francesca is the only one buying into this whole charade. Yennefer and Fringilla have their guard up, though the being does seem to know a bit about each of them, knowing that Yennefer is power hungry and telling Fringilla she needs to believe in herself and seize one's destiny. We see the visions fade and see that an old woman is disguising herself as these 3 beings. The Mother of the Force is kind of telling them how to fulfill their dreams. She tells Francesca to see her pure-blood elf child be born, she has to live amongst men. She tells Fringilla that to see Nilfgaard take over the northern kingdoms, they need allies in the north who know the land, the elves. Perhaps this would fulfill each dream of theirs, but it seems there may be another angle the Mother of the Forest is playing. But I'm not sure yet. If you have any ideas, comment below. We then find out that Yennefer has lost the ability to control chaos after she unleashed fire upon the Nilfgaard army. Fire magic is very dangerous, is why the Brotherhood of Sorcerers outlawed it. This isn't in the books. I've never heard of mages losing the ability to do magic, but I suppose it is possible. We get a reference to Season 1 to lift the stone. Yennefer cannot do it. We finally see the true form of the Mother of the Forest. She tells Yennefer, I want your desperation crisp. You will beg me to take it from you. Yennefer awakes in the woods, and Fringilla and Francesca are also out of the spooky hut as well. It seems that Fringilla and Francesca have come to an agreement to work together against the northern kingdoms. So the demon, or the Mother of the Forest, is similar to what Vesemir said earlier, but it did let them go, which is kind of confusing. Because as of right now, the Mother of the Forest doesn't seem to have gotten anything in return. But you may be wondering, how is Yennefer going to get what she asked, the child she wants? Well, I know, but I won't say, but you should be able to figure it out. It's pretty easy. The cast isn't that big. It's really obvious. Maybe for me, I played the game. I don't know. Geralt finds the creature, the Leshen. It has killed the lady in the night Eskel was with. Geralt starts to fight some tree branches trying to attack him, so clearly it is a Leshen he is fighting. Geralt gets trapped by the creature. He's able to free himself with a torch. He is about to kill it when he notices it is Eskel. Eskel doesn't seem to have control of himself either. He's still trying to attack Geralt even after he recognizes him. Eskel does stab Geralt, but maybe he's not able to infect others, or maybe it comes up next episode? I guess we'll find out. Vesemir is able to save Geralt by throwing an axe at the Leshen. Geralt explains to Vesemir that Eskel is infected. Vesemir doesn't know how that is possible. So yeah, the Leshen was mutated. They continue to fight the Leshen. Geralt uses a sign to block the door. Signs are simple spells all Witchers can do with one hand. The one he uses here is called Yrden. It blocks monsters from passing certain points in the games. It just slows them down. Vesemir tries to convince Eskel that they can still save him. They just need time. But Eskel is too far gone. Geralt makes the decision to save Vesemir's life by using Igni on his sword. This is another sign which causes fires. This is the first time we see this in the show. He stabs Eskel in the heart, killing him. We then have a little montage. We see Vesemir hanging Eskel's medallion from the tree. We get another game Easter egg. We see Geralt's medallion from the video games once again. Awesome. We see Yennefer is trying to portal herself out of the woods. She cannot because she, at least for now, has lost the ability to do magic. We then see Geralt is going to train Ciri how to fight. So what did you think of episode 2 of The Witcher? Leave it down in the comments below. And if you want more Witcher content, please subscribe and like the video. And also check out the Twitter link in the description below. And as always, have an awesome day.